everyone, and welcome to Long's Toys. Today we are taking a look at the third wave of the Masters of the Universe Filmation action figures from Super7. These figures are meant to more closely resemble their appearance on the Filmation cartoon, as opposed to the original toy, which those two things didn't always match up. But yeah, so Super7 has gone back and done a line that's very reminiscent of the original toys as far as articulation, packaging, size, all that stuff, but now they look more like the Filmation appearances. So I think that's actually really, really cool. Previously, I reviewed Wave 1, which came out a while ago. I decided to skip Wave 2 because it just didn't really have enough figures that I cared about, so I kind of just skipped it. This is Wave 3. I know it's a little late. Wave 4 is also already out, and I do have that as well. So I'll be reviewing that sometime in the near future. But this is Wave 3. So we have Orko, Prince Adam, Merman, and Trapjaw. So very cool. 2 heroes, 2 villains. I think the one I'm most excited about is Merman, because when I was a kid, the original Merman toy, his head looked more like a cat or something. They ended up using, I think, the same head for Skunkor later on, which makes a lot more sense. But he just had kind of cat ears, and he didn't really look like a sea person or someone from the ocean, like a fish or anything like that. And on the show, I always thought he looked so much better. So when I saw this was kind of one of the deciding factors for me grabbing this wave, because this Merman just looks so much better. The Trapjaw is fairly similar, but his head is definitely very reminiscent of the cartoon, just a little bit more stylized. And then Orko and Prince Adam, I gotta be honest, yes, they definitely look more like the cartoon. Orko especially. I think the Orko definitely looks better than the original toy did. But I'm not as excited for those two figures, but it's going to be fun. I love this packaging. It is recreated packaging from the 80s, which is fantastic. Obviously, there are some differences now. It says as seen on TV. Super 7 has new in the corner. But they even kind of simulate the back of the packaging from back in the day. You have a little bit of artwork up there. You have showing off the features over here. And then it tells you the other ones that were available. So I believe He-Man, Skeletor, She-Ra, and Hordak were Wave 1 that I reviewed. Wave 2 was Teela, Man-at-Arms, Beast-Man, and I think there was a Faker, which was basically just He-Man with a robotic face. I don't know, something about Beast-Man's head was just too big for me. I couldn't get past how giant his dome was. But so that's why I decided to pass on Wave 2, but now we're checking out Wave 3. I want to show off the back of these packages real quick before we go ahead and open them. And of course they're falling over. I wanted to stand them because it kind of looks like they could stand, but they just kind of pitch too much forward. Great artwork here though on the top of the cards. I'm loving that. That's really awesome artwork up there. This guy, apparently his only action feature is his spring waist, which I'm pretty sure they all have. I mean, obviously Orko is not going to have that. Prince Adam sleeping. I love how he can't even be bothered to hold the fishing pole. That is the epitome of lazy. And let's take a look at the back of the Orko packaging. Just shows him angering Man-at-Arms, which is pretty common for Orko. So let's go ahead. Let's get the packaging all open for these guys. And then, of course, we will dive in and take a closer look. Alright, so here are the 4 figures out of the packaging. We'll start over here with Orko. He looks good. He doesn't really have much in the way of articulation. His arms can kind of swivel here at the shoulders, and his head can swivel from side to side. But I think design-wise, he does look good. He definitely looks like his counterpart from the show, which I think is an improvement over the original toy. The original toy just was a little off. I can't really put my finger on what was wrong with it. The hat could come off, and then if you took the hat off and you lost it, he had like weird, like what the ears looked more like horns, and it didn't look right. This has a much better looking hat. The ears look more natural. The eyes and everything just overall I think looks better. He's got wheels in his, I guess instead of legs. So it can kind of look like he's gliding. The original one I think had like a piece that you put in and then you pulled it. And then it would scoot across the floor. But I think this is just a simpler, better design to just, you can give him wheels and he can glide around. I mean, to be fair, he doesn't glide all that well. Maybe on a little bit smoother surface he might. But the wheels feel like they're getting a little stuck from time to time. He does come with a bunch of accessories. First and foremost, he's got this crazy giant like magic effect piece. Which you can see it's kind of molded there for his hand. So you just kind of like push that on his hand there. and it looks like he's doing magic. I get what they were going for, but it just seems too large and unnecessary in my opinion. I mean, on the show he did kind of do something with his hand and it made little sparkles to signify he's doing magic. But maybe just like this big, you know what I mean? Like it doesn't need to be this huge. It's kind of massive for no reason. And I kind of feel like they thought, oh, we had to give you some kind of giant hunk of plastic to make it seem more worth it. Because at the end of the day, this guy costs the same as everybody else. So you feel a little ripped off when you think that this guy and his accessories were $20 and he doesn't do all that much. So I get what they were going for with this, but it just not quite that great in my opinion. Not quite that great. Sure, whatever, we'll go with it. In any case, he also comes with like this wilted flower, which fits in his hand pretty well because his grip is a little smaller. So like while this fits okay, he comes with these two like magic wands that just don't really fit that great. Like he can hold them, but you can see how like they're just a little too big and they don't quite fit in his hand. But I guess as long as he can hold on to them. So yeah, I don't know if these are supposed to be like magic wands, and then maybe the magic wand turns into a flower. That's the gag. I don't know, but you have these four accessories that, in my opinion, just I see what they're going for, but they're not that great. I don't know what accessories you would give him. To be fair, I really don't. I like the figure. I don't know what I would pack him with to make him seem worth $20, or maybe you could have just offered him, you know, at like 10 or 15, but that's harder to do because it's easier just to have everything uniform across the board. I get that. So I like the figure. I just think the accessories are kind of meh. But next up, we'll move on to Prince Adam. So it is the He-Man figure, just repainted to look like his outfit from the show. They also gave him this cloth jacket, which actually looks pretty good. I think it works a little better than the original toy. The original toy also had, I think it was like a darker, more like the color of Orko than this lighter pink. He does have the sword, which is the full double width sword. It's not the half sword. Like I think the original one came with a half sword. Because in the original toys, you're supposed to get two halves and put them together to make one. It was like an idea from the comics. It didn't transfer over to the show, so I can see why, you know, here they'd want to give you the full sword, which makes more sense. But here is the power sword done in the maroon. Actually, this is kind of what the color of his jacket used to be in the original toy. Kind of matched the sword more. But these have like I can't tell what kind of joint this is. This one actually, like his joint there almost kind of works. But after my debacle with Skeletor, I'm very weary to try it out on any more figures. But head can move. You have arms swivel. And then you have a little bit of movement in the legs. And then, of course, you do have the... but because of the weird cloth jacket here, let me see if I can move this up a smidge. But it works better on some of the other figures. The jacket just kind of gets in the way on this guy, which isn't a big problem. But he does have that spring-loaded punch in the waist. But yeah, overall, I think he looks pretty good. Next up, we have Mer-Man, which is definitely my favorite of the wave. He looks fantastic, very much reminiscent of the cartoon, and definitely looks like a fish person. He doesn't look like a weird cat. He comes with two accessories. He's got this staff, which I think in the packaging it called that the Crimson Pearl. So there you go. But he's got that staff. He's also got this sword, which I always thought kind of looked like a corn cob that somebody had eaten off of. That's just me. I don't really know what they're going for. But I do think it's cool that the bone is the handle there. Now, unfortunately, he can fit both items in this hand perfectly. But it almost looks like you would be able to put this in here, and it's just a little too short. Like the fingers just reach a little bit too far, as you can see. If they had just made the handle a little bit longer, I feel like this would have fit perfectly in this hand. And then he could use both weapons at the same time. He holds everything in this hand perfectly. He does have the spring-loaded hips, as you can see, which is pretty cool. Like you can see a minute ago, I kind of had this in here, and you can kind of get it to balance, but it's not perfect. It's not bad, but you don't really display your sword to someone like that when you're fighting with it. So the harness has the same kind of connections, just like the original toy did, and then he's got the leg movement as well. So he's definitely my pick for best of the wave. I just love his design. I think the colors work. The accessories are great. I just wish that sword was a little bit longer so that his hand could fit inside the handle of it. Last but certainly not least, we have Trapjaw. He is looking good. Like I said, very similar to the original toy, but definitely some improvements, and he definitely looks more accurate to the cartoon show. He's got the same kind of basic movement in the legs. He does have that swivel. His actually works the best out of everyone in this wave so far, at least out of the figures I have. You can move the jaw up and down. You can turn the head from side to side. He does have the movement here in the shoulder. He's got the attachments, so you have the gun. You have a hook, which you can plug in. And then you also have like a grabber claw. So that's cool. I think the gun's the best one. I think most people do. But you can see that they still have the hooks. You can see all the hooks that are molded onto the bottom of those. And that's because back in the day, the original toy had loops on his belt. And you could plug these into the loops. And he could store them there so that he could, interchange them as he went. They took them out. And that's kind of a bummer. I get he probably didn't have them in the cartoon, so they're going for, cartoon accuracy. But that was really a big selling point to the toy, in my opinion. He has all that extra stuff, and he had a way to store it. Otherwise, I think he looks great. They really nailed the head as far as looking like the cartoon. And the colors are very vibrant on him. I think the blue and the green and the burgundy we'll go with. It's a fun color scheme. It really pops. In the original toy, you could actually take this off and this black thing would come off as well, but they've kind of molded it on there so that doesn't happen here. But yeah, overall, I think it looks good. I do like it. I'm just missing those loops on the back. But otherwise, he's a really fun toy. Oh, we got to take a look at the... they all come with these little cards, which are really cool. So say, for example, here is the Trapjaw one. And you get a really nice picture. And you get really nice stuff. There we go. So really nice little bit of animation there. And you can see it signed down the bottom. And then when you flip it over, it shows you from toy to tune. So basically, here is the original toy. As I was telling you, he had those loops on the belt. And then you could plug them in here. And then they did kind of a artist rendering and then final animation design. So you can see he did come a long way. And I do think that the look on the show is a little bit better than the toy. And I think if you hold up, this toy to that toy, I do think that this guy is a little better. And he's got a better color scheme. I'm missing those belt loops, man. They served a utility function. Next up, we'll take a look at Merman, and you'll be able to see what I'm talking about with the original toy really did not look like a fish person. It looked like a cat person. Look at that cat head. Come on now. That does not look like a fish. It looks like a cat. He had a really crazy bow tie in the waist. He still had that corncob sword, though. And then you can see that made it to the final animation design. And I'm sorry, but come on. That's like night and day. Look at that. That is so much better than the original toy. I'm sorry. I love the original toy. Don't get me wrong. He's got the boot coloring. He's got that so much better head. That is just 10 times better. You can't deny it. Come on now. See if I can get him to stand here. All right, next up we have the Orko card, going a little bit out of order. But see what I was talking about with the magic effect? I can see what they're going for. Just the execution wasn't that good. Here's the original toy, though. See how I was saying the hat just kind of sat on or off a little bit too weirdly? And I really think that looks better if you hold those up next to each other. Really, really nice. I think this might be how they looked in the comics. Let me go back and look at some of these. No, maybe not. I don't know. Maybe that's like an original design and then they tweaked it a little bit. But yeah, he definitely, this new toy looks better than the old toy, I have to say, hands down. And then next up we have Prince Adam. Nice artwork there. And here we go. Here's the original toy. See how I was saying that the original vest was definitely a darker color. That is what he looked like in the comics, I'm pretty positive. And you can see, I don't know how they went from that to this, because I'm pretty sure the look in the comics, no, the comics happened, then they had the cartoon, and I'm pretty sure the toy came after the cartoon. I could be wrong about that. Um, but yeah, I don't think they designed this first. But this is one where I actually think the toy and the original toy are pretty close. Just really the head's more cartoon accurate. Otherwise, it's pretty much spot on. It's pretty much the same. They just lightened the vest up a little bit. Otherwise, pretty much it. So I think these cards are really neat. I like these quite a bit. They're very nice artwork, very sharp, and I like that little bit of the toy engineering that they tell you a little story on the back there. So I think these are fun. I like this release a lot. I will be honest, I had this wave and the next wave pre-ordered at BBTS, and then the announcement of Origins happened, which is going to be the all-new Masters of the Universe line that Mattel is developing for fall of 2020. And it's going to be basically the original toys, but tweaked with better articulation, a little redesign, maybe some better accessories, things like that. And I was kind of really debating if I wanted to continue with these because, once Origins comes out, I feel like they might be a little obsolete. But then I had to remind myself that the Origin toys are going to be based off the original toys, whereas these were based off the Filmation cartoon. And I really did like that cartoon as a kid, and I really did like these designs. Plus, that other stuff's not going to be out for a year, so I needed something to tide me over, so I decided to keep these, and I'm glad I did. I think these are nice figures. Look good, excellent paint applications, articulations, very reminiscent of the original toys. They have that spring-loaded action feature, which is very nostalgic. And you just have those designs based on the original cartoon, which I think is great, and in some cases much better than the original toy, in my opinion. The only one out of this wave that I feel like falls a little short, no pun intended, is Orko, just because it's a smaller figure. I do appreciate that they try to load him up with accessories to make up for that, but the accessories just don't really hit home for me. But I definitely recommend any one of the other figures. Well, I can't not recommend Orko, because come on, he's Orko, he's great. So I recommend all of them, but just know what you're getting into. Orko comes up a little short as far as being worth the full $20, but any of the other three I think are totally worth it. Merman's definitely my number one, though. But let me know what you guys think in the comments below. Please like, share, comment, subscribe. Hope you guys enjoyed the video, and as always, thank you so much for watching.